Tackling about, of course, these food security issues affecting as well, even, of course, our labor market here when we're talking about the high inflationary environment that we have at the moment. You also sat down with Labor Secretary Benny Laguesma. You discussed work from home, labor contracting. What was your impression from that talk with Laguesma, and what do you make of his policy direction considering the tight labor market that we are in?
In all these talks with the government officials, just what we came away with, we've worked with many of these. By we I mean business sector. I may look old, and I'm not necessarily that.
Not
in the
really.
business sector, we've worked with many of these officials for a long time, and now we're talking to them, and we believe that they believe that business is not the enemy, that business is an important partner in job creation and national development.
Mm-hmm.
That goes as well for Secretary Laguesma. We talked a lot about, one of our main topics there was the BPO sector and their work from home issue.
Mm.
We bring that issue up a lot because this sector has more than 1 million employees. It actually added about 140,000 employees during COVID. We also talked about apprenticeship, which is a way where companies can train employees and employees can get training that they can't get elsewhere. The problem with apprenticeship is that some skills take longer than 6 months to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And based on our laws, if you cross the 6-month mark, you have to be regularized. In many countries, they allow apprenticeship for up to 2 years. We had a very good discussion with the secretary and his undersecretary who will be in charge of this about how to make sure, how to promote apprenticeship while putting the safeguards in place so that employers or illegitimate employers can't use it as a way to just get cheap labor.
You met with the DOLE and the BSP. Let's start off with your discussions with BSP Chief Felipe Medalla, host of topics there, including digitalization. What struck you the most from that meeting, and what are you most hopeful about?
We've met 5 or 6 officials as of now, Jess, including Governor Medalla a week ago on Friday. The conversation with him was very broad, the broadest, I think, of all the conversations. It covered inflation, of course, and as you said, digitalization, a lot of discussion about that. In our meetings with these government officials, we bring some of our members there who are relevant to the projects that the government officials want to, or the departments want to pursue. We really go into these meetings asking how we can help, and then we bring members of ours who are relevant to that. And as a result of that, there are some action points that that were kind of agreed on that we should pursue. A lot of them, as you said, are in the digitalization space.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about digitalization here, would you say that's enough, at least as a point here, when it comes to the government's anti-corruption efforts, or would you have wanted a more direct anti-corruption order from the president? Because some corners, of course, think that this was absent during the president's SONA. Would you have wanted a more concrete policy direction when it comes to that goes beyond government rightsizing?
Right. The president did mention efficiency and rightsizing, which could cover corruption as well. But we would have wished, I guess that's one of the wishes that we would have had regarding this SONA, which in general we strongly supported, is that there be a more direct addressing of corruption. When you look at corruption, Jess, it's bad really for 2 reasons. First of all, it's unfair. It's unfair for the citizen who's waiting in line for a permit in a government agency, or for a business that's seeking an approval for an investment that could create jobs. And they're either going to pay more than they should pay, or they're not going to pay, and somebody who's willing to make the payoff gets the deal. And either way, that citizen or that business is going to be discouraged from doing more transactions that could create jobs. The government, on the other end, gets less money than it should. Because of the payoff there, which leads to really the other part, which you talked about in your previous story. The president shared with us a long list of great plans, and we support many of those plans, I think, in general. The problem is always, how do you pay for these things? And as you said, Secretary Diokno already said he's not really in favor of raising taxes. They talk about revenue neutral taxation. One place you can get this money is by attacking corruption. There there have always been a wide range of estimates of how much is lost to corruption, both on the collection side and the spending side. And if that money is captured, it's really the government's money. It should be recaptured rather. That could pay for some of these services that the president is talking about.
Now, more on that point, you have the finance chief now, Secretary Joknot, is pointing out in the past again that he is not in favor of imposing new taxes. But on the other hand, you have President Marcos during the SONA at least signaling the possibility of imposing taxes on digital services. What do you make of that?
I'm not privy to their discussions, and I'm not an economist either. There are reasons there are pros and cons to all of these tax proposals. Digital, for one, the theory behind that is the brick and mortar companies are paying taxes, so why shouldn't the digital companies pay taxes as well? Some people will say that's not a new tax, it's just making sure that the tax applies to everyone fairly. It's really a question of what rate should tax a digital-based company versus a bricks and mortars company. Because they have very different cost structures, and a similar tax rate would hit them very differently, Jess.